Hi, in this video, I want to talk to you about the real life versus the financial model world, and is there a difference? Throughout my career as a financial modeler, I heard many times people saying that, in real world, things gonna happen in this way. However, for the purpose of the financial model and for the sake of simplicity, we're gonna apply it this way in the financial model. Of course, this can be true in many cases. However, there are cases that this cannot be justified. I am an advocate of simplicity, however, not where I cannot justify it. And in this video, I want to give you cases that it is not justified to just apply for the sake of simplicity, do not include what is basically the reality of the project or what is reflected in the contracts in the financial model. So one of these cases is modeling of major maintenance reserve account. I have a full video and a blog post about how to model major maintenance and issues around modeling of major maintenance reserve account. I'm going to put the link down below if you're interested to go and watch that video. So as I said, so many people, like sometimes they send a model and you see among the OPEX item one cost labeled as major maintenance. It's basically an annualized cost related to a major maintenance cost, which is due in 10 years or 5 years time. So basically what they do is that they put money aside in a reserve account, and that money is going to accumulate until that year when the major maintenance is due, and it's going to be released to basically pay for that major maintenance in that year. However, although the cash impact is the same, so you don't need to build the whole major maintenance mechanism into the financial model, adding that one line item in the OPEX is going to do basically the same thing in terms of the cash flow impact. However, you cannot justify it. This is, of course, a simplification. However, you cannot justify it. Why is that? This is because a financial model is a contractual document. So the financial model should reflect whatever terms are reflected in the contracts. So if the lenders, they require, and it is documented in the loan agreement, that there should be an establishment of a major maintenance reserve account, then the model should reflect that. And also there might be some accounting and tax treatment as well that requires us to build the major maintenance reserve account into the financial model instead of just reflecting it as an item in the OPEX. Also, the other thing that is important, in the cash flow waterfall, major maintenance reserve account funding of it comes most of the time after the operating expenses and even after debt service. So that is why you cannot justify simplifying major maintenance reserve account into one line item in your OPEX. The second item that I want to talk about here is inflation. You cannot imagine how much I had so much trouble, kind of justifying why a model needs to be reflected in nominal and real models do not make sense. Of course, you can always have a nominal model and then have a separate worksheet where you reflect everything, deflate all the cash flow items and reflect them in real. If for whatever reason, for doing economic analysis, you are interested to see the values in real terms, that's completely fine. You can do that. However, the complete model, the analysis should be done in nominal term. In many instances, people say that, they justify having a real model by saying that inflation is basically there are so many uncertainties around inflation, and that's why they say that they prefer to have a real model. But this cannot be justified because having a real model, first of all, causes a lot of problems when it comes to depreciation, calculation of depreciation, and also your loans and the terms that you get, the interest rate are most of the time in nominal term. So all these just can be the arguments that you can have against having a real model as opposed to the nominal one. There is a great article about, the real versus a nominal model. I'm going to put the link down below for you. Please go ahead and have a look at it. It really explains why it is not recommended to have a real financial model. The other item that I want to mention here is currency. I myself, I do this most of the time, and for the purpose of simplicity, sometimes you just reflect everything in one real currency, but that is not really recommended. Because, for example, you need to, for all the cash flow items that goes into your model, you need to ask the question, what is the currency of denomination of this cash flow item? So if it is your revenues, you need to ask, what is the currency of invoicing of the revenues? And then you reflect that in that same currency. And if your model, for example, if the revenues that you are getting are in Naira, then you're going to reflect your revenues in Naira and then convert them to the model currency, for example, if it is US dollar, by using your foreign exchange projections. So that's the right way to do it. And sometimes people, they say for the purpose of simplicity, we just reflect everything in US dollar. However, this is not recommended because you want to do basically sensitivities on exchange rate. And if you don't reflect the cash flows in their currency of denomination, then you're not going to be able to do any foreign exchange. You're not going to be able to measure the risk of fluctuations in the foreign exchange. So that's another thing that you need to be careful in the financial model. Another thing that to me it's still a question, and I really want to open it here, and if you have any of you have an answer to me, please come and let's have a discussion about this. Refinancing. The question is whether we need to include refinancing in the base case project finance model or not. Because we all know that at somewhere down the road in the project, there's going to be a refinancing. When you de-risk the project after construction development is the riskiest phase. Then in the construction phase, where you are basically securing your debt, that's when the debt is the most expensive. After operation, you already have an asset which is operational, so the risk is lower. So you can just basically refinance maybe your debt at a cheaper price, at a cheaper interest rate. So the refinancing is a reality in the project. So whether to include it or not include it in the base case is a question that I am asking myself. I know that I mainly work in projects in Africa, and I don't see, anyone including refinancing in their base cases in the projects in Africa at least. However, from my friends and colleagues, I see that in the West, in Europe, refinancing is really part of the base case financial model. So that's something that I open it as a question to you. Please, if you have any comments on this, please write down in the comment section. The other thing is to have an annual model. I see a lot of people, especially at the early stage of a project, sending an annual model and say that, at this stage, we don't see any need to having a periodic model. That's something that I reject from the beginning. You cannot have in project finance, I'm talking about project finance here, maybe in corporate you can justify having an annual model. However, when it comes to the project finance transaction, having an annual model does not make any sense. First of all, because your debts are repaid most of the time on quarterly or semi-annual basis, and all the covenants, all the metrics are calculated on periodic basis. So you need to make sure that your financial model, no matter what stage you are in your project, reflects the debt repayment dates, and that's something that you need to really emphasize. No matter where you are in the project, you need to reflect the reality of the projects at that time, and also keep in mind there is a reality of today, but there is a reality of tomorrow. Maybe you're at the early stage, you still didn't secure your debts. However, you know that at one day in time you're going to have your debt, and these debt repayment profiles are mainly periodic. So it's better that from the beginning you reflect the project as it is today, and also accommodate flexibility for future changes. Okay, so that's it for me for this video and this session. I hope you liked it. If you have any comments, please don't hesitate to mention. If you're interested in this kind of topics, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you and bye. If you want to learn how to build better financial models, check out my online course on financial model spreadsheet design at courses.phoenixmode.com.